guys ready? I will call the town meeting, Copper Canyon, regular town meeting, Monday, December 8th at 7 o'clock. And I'll call that meeting to order. Let's, if you don't mind, pledge with the American flag and the flag of Texas. Texas. I love the Texas flag. All right, everyone, thanks for coming tonight here, and Merry Christmas to everyone. First session, we're going to do executive session. The town council will convene into closed executive session for the following reason. Section 55.1.071, consultation with attorney. The town council may conduct private consultation with its attorney. We will commence that at 7:01. executive session has been closed at 7:22. We'll rejoin to the agenda for the regular town meeting. Consideration, moving to section number 3, consideration of the executive session that's already done. We reconvened on that. Public input. Public input can make comments to the town council during this section of the meeting of the agenda. We ask citizens who wish to speak to provide their name over to our town secretary on a sheet. 3 minutes is your time limit, please. And pursuant with state open meetings law, the town council cannot take action on items not posted on the agenda. Therefore, the town council cannot take action on any issues and items brought up during the public input. We do have some public input items already filled out. First one is Norman Jordan. Norman?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass because it was to talk about an agenda item under number 10 specifically.
Yes. Okay. All right, we'll wait on that then. On the public hearing item. All right, very good. Next item, speaking request is Tim Larson. Tim Larson? I just want to make sure you're going to wait for section 10, number 10? Okay. Well, these all right. Very good. We will go to the next speaker, Brent Rubin. Okay, so we'll wait for item 10 for you. And Grant Duffy. All 4 items. Okay, so do we have anybody else for any public input on items either on or off the agenda? Hearing that, I will close public input and we'll move to agenda item number 5, Ratliff Rate Study Presentation. And Angie Flores.
Actually, Mayor, we have Angie was not able to attend due to an illness, so Christopher Williams is here from the firm. They're going to present our sewer rate study. As you guys know, the only sewer that we have in Copper Canyon is Vickery and Williams Ranch. The rate study has not been done for several years now. As the development was being constructed, they did a lot of projections on what the use of that system would be and then what the maintenance costs would be, so it's been a while since we've updated that. So this was in our budget to perform this study. We had gotten 2 proposals, and these guys came in at a cost that we thought was reasonable. And so I'll turn it over to Mr. Williams to present the results from that study.
Thank you, Troy. As Troy has already stated, my name is Christopher Williams. I'm a finance consulting manager with Ralph Tellis, representing my boss tonight, Angie Flores, while she's out sick. So thank you all, Mayor, Town Council, City Manager, Clerk. Thank you all for having me here to walk you all through the study. As we look here at the agenda, I pretty much want to make sure that we cover the purpose of the study that was conducted for you all, followed by a recap of any agreements as well as a history of your all sewer system. The third item on the agenda, I'll discuss the key financial assumptions that we factored into the rate study before we show you the rate study results and provide a summary at the end of what exactly does this mean for you all moving forward. So as we look into the purpose of this study, it's pretty much threefold. Number 1, develop a financial planning model. Secondly, factor the FY 2026 budget and any CIP items. CIP meaning any costs that are related to your wastewater line maintenance. And number 3, to show you what a recommended wastewater rate looks like for you all for your fixed and volumetric charge. So as we look at the purpose, let's gravitate towards your all's agreements as well as your sewer system history. So there are 3 points that I would like to make here. Number 1, you basically have an agreement that has been in place with the city of Flower Mound for your wastewater treatment and disposal service. That agreement has been in place since 2006. Worth noting, you can actually go up to 400,000 in flow daily, so 146 million in consumption or flow annually is what that contract stipulates. Number two here, I'll go ahead and mention that you all have had recent developments, which of course you're familiar with Vickery Park, which has been completed, and secondly, Williams Ranch, which is the last phase. Both of these projects basically required additional wastewater infrastructure be in place, and after assessing what infrastructure needed to be in place, that's when Raftellus came in to help you all develop a rate back for your FY22 budget year, okay? So after conducting that initial study for you all, we've basically been able to provide an update and some of the key assumptions that we're factoring into everything. Number one, as you look at the number of connections, there are two items that I would like to focus on this slide. Number one, if you look at the FY 2024, you can see that we're listing 245 connections. So those connections, if you multiply it by 12, you'll get close to a number that shows the number of bills being 2,745. So we're factoring in each connection being billed monthly, right? So the next item that I would like to point out on this slide, as you look at FY 2026, we're showing that once the Williams development is complete, you'll be right around 260 connections or 3,072 bills. The reason why I have a box around this second number, if you look at 2026 and beyond, we're basically holding that number steady, the number of connections, because there is not an expectation that you will grow beyond that at this point. So to put a bow on this slide, I pretty much have already summarized it. If you look at the bullet point here, future growth is limited to Williams Ranch, and secondly, the connections and number of bills are projected to be constant after FY 2026. Now, the second major items that we factored inside your financial assumptions, after you look at the number of accounts, you have to look at consumption, or what we call in our industry flow, sewer flow. So looking here, a couple bullet points that we're pointing out here is number one, future consumption is based on historical consumption data and estimated future growth. The second bullet point, consumption is also projected to be constant starting in 2026. And lastly, the average consumption per bill is right under 5,500 gallons. So big picture, I'll put a highlight around 2026 and beyond to show that this consumption number is remaining steady, because we're factoring that the number of accounts will remain steady for you all. Therefore, the average usage per account will be very similar and remain steady around 5,500 gallons of flow. So now that we've discussed the major items that factor into your rate revenue, the number of connections, which you get a fixed charge from, and the consumption, which you have a volumetric charge for, let's talk about some of the O&M, or operating and maintenance costs, that we're factoring in. So the first box to the left, you can see that we're factoring your FY 2026 budget. So with factoring your FY 2026 budget, we do have some escalations built in that range between 4 to 6%. The second item that we're factoring here is the treatment contract that you have with Flower Mound, and we're taking into consideration that that contract would escalate 3% annually. The third box, we're factoring in one-time expenses. With some of these one-time expenses, you basically have to look at your sewer system being new, and there's some things that you need to do to establish a good baseline of what shape your sewer system is in. So the items that we have noted here is a CCTV inspection and manhole renewal replacement. That's basically just running a camera through your sewer lines to understand what shape is it in currently, determine if anything is defective, whether anything needs to be replaced. The second item under the one-time expenses, we have the smoke test. This smoke test describes the process of determining whether you have any I&I infiltration and inflow, basically leaks within your system. By running a smoke test, you can determine what exactly is happening inside your system. So the last box that we have here, emergency repair reserve. We're basically factoring in reserves for emergency sewer lines, as well as street repairs. And lastly, if you actually have to use these emergency reserves, then you need to replenish it. So just think about one of the HOAs. They actually own a lift station, or they're in charge of a lift station. Well, in the event that they actually aren't able to do the repairs and replacements related to it and come back to the city down the road, you're already thinking ahead, making sure that you have reserves in place to take on that task. So we've covered the number of connections, consumption or flow, as well as O&M expenses. Now let's see how all that factors into the O&M budget here. So as you look at this O&M budget, I'll go ahead and draw a line around this box here. I want to draw your attention to these one-time expenses. So in the second column, FY 2026, you can flip the page and see that your wastewater miscellaneous expenses are $59,360, followed by flower mound treatment fees, $83,000, wastewater billing expenses being $11,000 or almost $11,500, and now you get into this category of one-time expenses. Those items that I noted, that as far as CCTV, the smoke test, and things like that, that's grouped into the one-time expenses, as well as that street repair reserve that you see in 2026. In 2027, there's a number for nearly $97,000 for these one-time expenses. But as you back out those one-time expenses, you see that the dollar amount, it goes down over time. Okay? So bottom line, in 2026, we're showing $266,000, but by the time you make it to 2030, we're forecasting $181,000. With that being said, what exactly are the results of this study? So as we look at your financial forecast, the blue dotted line will show how much revenues you're projected to bring in by not raising your rates. That is what our recommendation is, that your rates are actually sufficient. You don't have to raise them at this time. So as you look at this chart, 2026, you see that the orange bar exceeds the blue line, but that's because you're looking to use some of your fund balance to pay for some of those one-time items in 26 and 27. But after you pull out those one-time expenses, your revenue does exceed what your annual expenses are in the forecast. Taking it a step further here, what does it look like for your wastewater rates? Well, currently, you're charging $35 for your minimum charge, which includes 2,000 gallons of flow, as well as $5 per 1,000 gallons, up to 10,000 gallons max. In short, your bill is capped at $75 max, okay? And that is not changing. So with all that being said, with factoring in your one-time expenses, what your costs are going to be escalated by 4 to 6% annually. If you look at this financial metric, it's important to note that the orange line basically shows 90 days of your O&M expenses. That's a target that you want to meet, that you want to keep on hand as far as reserves. Well, in 2026, you see that the reserves actually exceed that amount before it starts to go down over time. Now, the way to think about this is that each year, as you all as a town council have to make adjustments to a budget, right? And there's policy considerations that you have to make. This will allow you all to pay for some one-time items from your fund balance as long as you stay above that orange line. That's the way to interpret this financial metric, the way to look at it, big picture. All right, so with that being said, in summary, again, the current rate structure is financially sufficient. Number two, the financial plan covers strategic spend on one-time R&R or repairs and replacements. Number 3, the town's sewer fund complies with the reserve target of that 90 days. You saw on the previous slide that you're exceeding that 90-day mark, and frankly, some municipalities and utilities go as far as 180 days, but you may not have to look at that at this juncture. Number 4, continue to monitor financial assumptions. So you certainly want to come back and look at your financial assumptions that you're factoring into your model every couple years. You don't want to wait 5 years before you try to set rates again. You want to look at it every 2 to 3 years. And lastly, again, and I guess I got ahead of myself, prudent recommendation. Again, you just want to make sure that you're looking at your study every couple years so that it doesn't get out of date. With that being said, I will open the floor for Q&A. Yes, sir.
Actually, I have 2 questions. Can you define a connection? Is that one unique home, or could that line be shared by multiple homes?
It could be shared by multiple homes, but I believe for your community, it will basically be one connection. So anytime that you have like single-family residential, that would be one home and one connection. Whereas if you're in, say, the city of Farmers Branch where I live at, you may have some multifamily housing there. So there is one connection that could be shared by several apartment units per se.
Okay, all right. So the second question, and Troy, you help me here. There are several large developments coming online in Copper Canyon. So I'm kind of curious why we kind of stopped the analysis at 26.
Because none of those have access to sewer. And so the treatment, the reason why that worked out for Vickery, because it was so close to the Flower Mound main lines. And so that kind of fed into that.
Okay, so like Pilot
But-
Knoll or Ani Ranch or
Yeah.
none of those?
There's no access to sewer as it relates to those developments.
Interesting, it's all gonna be septic.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, as you know, there's no crystal ball. So as your community continues to change, that's one of the assumptions that could be factored in the future if you actually bring on new developments that will actually need to use your system.
Well, we're a septic town, so that's a good thing. I have a couple questions. One, you mentioned the lift station and stuff, right? How much does a lift station cost?
I do not have that number
Roughly.
on me. I will have to get back to you on the
No
cost of
problem.
the lift station.
Okay, but it's expensive,
Yes, it is.
very expensive.
Yes.
So Mayor, just to give you a feel for the pump that's in that lift station.
Please.
It's about 10 to 15 grand to get that grinder pump pulled, get another one replaced, those type of things. And they've accounted for some of that in this study as well.
Okay, right. But the point to the homeowners is that's going to be a cost that HOA is going to take care of, and should that ever fail, right?
That's the way it's written up today.
That's the way it's
correct?
written up for those homeowners, to make sure everyone understands that. It's not, Copper Canyon's not paying for that. The homeowners in that HOA are paying for those replacements. 2, how long does the sewer system last? I mean, 30 years? Major repairs after that?
Roughly after 20 years, you definitely need to make sure that you're looking at some of the repairs that have to take place. So I basically, last week, I found myself in Houston with this water authority down there, and they service they service several utility districts, and it basically spans across about 750,000 residents. And with them being a newer system, and they're basically right around the 20-year mark, we set up something with them so that they can start looking at repairs and replacements and putting monies back to make those repairs and replacements over time. So big picture, you're looking at 20, 30 years, but you still need to make sure that you're planning for any repairs and replacements that have to be made to your sewer lines.
Well, sure, absolutely. So the point there also for us, as we've designed this in Copper Canyon, is the new HOAs, or the HOAs that we have, they're going to be paying for those repairs. So we have to plan for them and make sure they understand that. So it's not a surprise for them 20 years down the road. I know we'll have new systems by any means, but we have to plan for that.
Right. So Mayor, an example, if we maintain, like, we need to do general maintenance on that system. So if it's the manhole lid, if it's, there's some
Sure.
things, just minor repairs that we need to be doing. And we've recently gone out and got some quotes on doing some of that work. and some of it exceeds over $23,000 because it hasn't been done in a while. So if we keep that regular maintenance process, then I think that system life would extend versus not doing anything. So we're responsible for the maintenance on that.
And in terms of, as you look at making some of those repairs, I'll focus your attention back to this fund balance versus reserve target. The idea is that as you make repairs and you're actually tapping your emergency reserves for anything, you just want to make sure that you're replenishing it over time. And it's important to pay attention to this financial metric to make sure that you're not falling below 90 days fund balance on hand.
Absolutely. Any other questions from
I
the
just
council?
have one question. On page 2 of your report, where it says that you estimated the future growth and consumption as well as the town's revenue requirement using data provided by the town. And then I see it says that there's an error, the reference source was not found. I just wanted to seek some
It's a-
understanding about how that might have impacted your calculations and what that might
Sure.
mean.
So, number one, I did not write that memo. Number two, I actually looked at that memo right before this meeting.
Okay.
And I believe that there was a table reference in there.
Okay.
And because that table wasn't in there, it returned error.
Okay.
It's not that there's an error in the report.
Okay.
It should have been a table linked in that memo that you have.
Okay, thank you.
We'll revise it and get it back over to
Okay.
you all.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
Oh,
I just had a quick question, I couldn't read the slide. Based on current consumption, how much availability remains with the Fowler Mound system for our future development in the town center?
Sure. So it's about 130 million gallons in flow a year. So based upon the contract that you have with the city of Flower Mound, it comes out to about 400,000 gallons of flow a day. So as you look at that over the course of a year, you have a capacity of 146 million gallons in a year. So right now you're using right around 16 million gallons a year. So that should leave you right around 130 million gallons of flow as far as capacity within a year. No problem.
okay. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone? Troy, anything else to add? All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the excellent briefing.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move on to number 6, staff, mayor, and council reports. We'll start off with Town Administrator Troy Meyer.
Just a couple quick highlights. We're continuing to work on some proposals to redo the dais here in the town hall as well as the carport. So we're looking to get some of those proposals in by the end of next week. On January 22nd, we'll have planned strategies here to kind of give an update on where they're at with reviewing and assessing the ordinances, chapters 1 through 14. So they'll give us an update and a timeline on that. As well as we had put our road maintenance, our annual road maintenance out to bid. We got those bids returned late last week. So we'll present that to you on January 12th to go along with that. We've also been trying to address some drainage concerns on South Berry Trail, as well as the drainage ditch just north of Chin Chapel. So we're kind of been working on those and then looking to create some fixes for those. So we'll bring that information back to the council. And then, of course, our striping project on Orchid Hill is well underway. They're starting to do all the railroad crossings, so hopefully we'll have that done by the end of this week. Also want to take the time we had our Christmas event this Saturday, had a good turnout. Want to thank the ESD for coming with their lighted fire truck and all their guys to assist with that event, so that was a success. And then we've got, you guys can look at the upcoming dates. Just want to point out that we do have a council meeting scheduled for January 12th to go along with that, and a P&Z meeting also scheduled on the 12th at 6 p.m. As far as development, Copper Knolls Estates, still looking to finish up the improvements. The perimeter fence is well underway. I think they're working on the fence that they got to complete is along the Orchid Hill parallel in the gate. So that's, they've been working on that. Copper Creek Estates, Phase 3 drainage. They are getting that done as well, and so they've gotten most of that completed, and that was the subsurface drainage for Phase 3 that came through Copper Canyon. They had cut the street, and it looks like they're gonna get that done here shortly. Awney Ranch, they're still doing all the rough end of the streets and the pad sites, so that's a large project. You don't see much of it from Copper Canyon, but there's a lot going on back behind there just due to the topography. And then also, on the 12th, you'll get a draft of the CCRs for Awney Ranch, so that's coming to go along with that. And I believe that is it as far as development. Let's see, Officer Weisinger's here to do any questions related to the police department. Roger is out at some training.
Actually, Troy, before we do that, we had discussed about the financial committee.
Yes.
Do you want to do that now?
Sure.
Okay, so as we close the last quarter, we had talked about calling a financial committee about the second week in January, just to make sure that we're doing a good review of kind of what the budget looks like and just doing a conversation about that. And as we look forward to the first quarter, so the end of the fourth quarter will be October 1st through December 31st, and looking forward to the first quarter of January 1st to March 31st, making sure that we're doing good transparency about what our budget looks like, and that we are making sure that we're reviewing all projects and the financial timelines of those things, and just making sure we're having good conversations about that.
Perfect.
So we'll get that scheduled and being in communication about what that looks like. So, thank you, Troy.
All right. Any questions related to the police department reports?
Okay, very good. Thank you, Troy. Going on down to the next item there, anything on engineer, have anything? Is our engineer today?
Nope, they were not here tonight.
They're not here today. Fire department. Chief?
Evening, Mayor, Council, Merry Christmas to everyone. Had a really good time this past weekend. We did bring our fire engines, got 3,000 lights on it. It was a very busy weekend for us. We had a lot of activities. Arga had their their tree lighting ceremony. Also did an event in Pecan Square, and we did Bartonville the night before. So tis the season, right? So we enjoy it, enjoy being out. Of course, it's a busy time of the year for us too. Call volume tends to pick up towards the holidays as well. So I did get out, I know we're having an early meeting, so I did get that out today. So if you're just now getting, I apologize, but we did send that out today for our monthly report. We were busier for November, which is, if you look historically, September and October this year was really slower, really kind of flat for us. So we definitely picked back up. November was our busiest November ever. And so we're back up to our trend of having a really busy month. But other than that, we also, since our last meeting, we did have our push-in ceremony for our brand new aerial ladder truck. So now we have a ladder truck. We didn't, very first one ever. And we used that as an event to also do canned foods for Thanksgiving. And we collected 287 pounds of food. And we did it all the way until the first. And we ended up with well over 300 pounds of donated food for the Argyle Food Bank. So appreciate anybody who contributed to that, so enjoyed that. So one last thing I want to make sure, we also do Sadie's Sleigh. It's a toy, and so all of our fire stations have a box there, and we will continue. The last day will be December 15th. So if you do want to drop off an unwrapped toy, feel free to stop by any of our fire stations. You can drop that off. And so other than that, I'll keep it brief and take any questions you have.
Any questions? No questions? Thanks for bringing Santa over. He did a great job for our Christmas
Got
party
plenty
here.
of cookies too. I got the decorated cookie.
Yep.
It was good, so
It was very
I
good.
try to eat my share. So, well, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Okay, Merry Christmas. And that finishes up any reports that we have. And let's go on to the next item, number 8, consent item. Item of consent agenda are routine and administrative nature and can be considered on a single motion and vote generally without discussion. Council members can move any item they wish. Tonight we have 3 items. Approval of November 10th, 2025 council meetings of the council meeting. Approval of the December 1st, 2025 minutes of the council meeting, and approval of the October 2025 financials. I'll take a motion to approve the consent items as listed on the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Councilmember Hubbard, second required. Seconded by Councilmember Dahl. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. That's a unanimous vote, 5-0. That passes. Next item will be item number 9, discussion item, draft discussion for the aviation ordinance. We have that in our packet here, and it's been around a couple of times. We've made some adjustments to it based on recommendations over the last month or two. And I guess I'll start off a little, repeat discussion on the items as where we expanded the definition of use, calendar days, defining it as 3 days maximum, and allowing it back to back to back or individual days throughout the year, depending upon if that occurs. And what else was there we had here? Requiring permit operations and who can issue a permit, relying that back to the mayor, the town administrator, or the town secretary as defining in the town. And those are in the definitions of the ordinance. Is there any other discussion? Anybody else got anything else for the aviation ordinance? And of course, the attempt here is to control the amount of noise, yet allow people to enjoy their properties as they see necessary or they deem necessary throughout the year.
I will say that I still think that instead of 3, we should do a special use permit at one time. And every time somebody wants it, the assumption should be that it is not allowed. And then if somebody needs an exception, that they come to us for an exception. This, I just see it as, it can be abused. We're opening the door for abuse.
Okay, that's noted. Anybody else?
I talked to quite a few people about this ordinance that had seen it. One was a former council person who was also on the volunteer fire department who sent me a lot of notes on it. His concern was that our population right now is dense and it's only going to be increasing. Once again, the livestock and horses. His comment was that the current zoning does not permit the use, so why open it up to go to the BOA? If you make it a conditional permit and then somebody could come before the BOA and ask for a different permit, ask for a variance on their permit. And he was also concerned about the touchdown and liftoff, final approach and takeoff, FATO, and because of the rotor diameter in different helicopters. If they have a small one-person helicopter or they're bringing in 2 blades, either, on each side, one in the middle, one in the front, one in the back. Just way over my pay grade, but he did a good job explaining it. If we look at the setbacks, are we going to be defining the size of the helicopters that's coming in? Because I think there are some, and you would know this more than me, FAA recommendations for the heliport. He called it the heliport protection zone when it's coming in, if it's a larger helicopter than just for personal use. So how would we go about putting that in the ordinance on a size basis?
Well, I'm not a helicopter guy, so I can't answer any of those questions. But I can tell you, that's why I wrote this thing, just try to protect us from what happened to our neighbors. That's the purpose of this whole thing. And yet, I think the importance of it is that we allow people to enjoy, people who have the dollars and the abilities or the friends, the ability to enjoy their property as they want to, but not on a recurring basis. So the 3-day restriction, and I don't know where the BOA discussion comes from because that's nowhere even mentioned in this article at all.
Yeah.
But,
No,
he
was saying,
can mention that all he wants to, but I don't see that. That's why we have a very strict, limited number of people to authorize any kind of flight operations. And to my knowledge right now, and I'm not a helicopter guy, maybe there's another helicopter personnel here somewhere that may know a little more than I do, but helicopters can land anywhere they want to and stuff. So, you know, we're kind of leaving ourselves open right now without having some kind of restriction on this right now. And I'm trying to protect the other families and the other livestock in other places. So, but we're gonna bring this back up, we're gonna run it through the channels, and then we'll take a vote on it, and we'll massage it. But if you have any recommendations, please bring it forward, send them to Troy, send them to me, and we'll discuss it, and we'll bring it to a vote later on down the road, hopefully sometime after the first of the year, is what my hope is.
So I would assume that a lot of these questions are gonna be vetted out during the permitting process, right?
Oh, yes.
I mean, we'd ask them how large of a helicopter you bring.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
We're just saying you gotta get a permit,
Yes,
right? And
Yeah.
we can flush, hopefully we can flush some of these details out during the
absolutely.
process.
Yeah, you have to get approval for it, that's the whole process of this whole thing. And it doesn't allow anybody to establish a permanent base. That's the other purpose of it. Any other discussions items on the aviation ordinance proposal as written today? Hearing none, I will close the discussion on the aviation ordinance. I think that's what we called it. Yes, aviation activity ordinance draft 2515. And we'll move to the public hearing items, section 10. Town council will conduct a public hearing to hear public comment regarding, and I'm going to adjust the order of our discussion here a little bit to do, we're going to combine the plats together, public hearing on the two plats together of final plat for Rochelle, Stevens, and Pierce, and replat of Clark and Gary's Prairie. So anybody that has any discussion or public input for either one of those two plats or replats, and I'll read the whole thing here in a second, we're going to put those together. All right? So discussion on, and public hearing for final plat Rochelle, Stevens, and Pierce addition, lot 1-3, block A, 7.876 acres, J. Edmondson Survey, abstract number 398, J. Harrod Survey, abstract number 588, in the town of Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas. The properties to be platted include property ID number 19784, 19785, 19786, and 20191, as noted in DentonCAD.com. Second replat is replat of Clark Gary's Prairie lots 2R and 3, being a replat of lot 2 of Clark Gary's Prairie, and an addition to the town of Copper Canyon, Texas, recorded in the Cabinet M, page 362 of the plat records of Denton County, Texas, in the John W. Baker Survey, abstract number 50, town of Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas. Anybody have any public input on either one of those two platting issues before the council? I did open the public hearing. 801. No comment on those? We will close the public hearing on those two items, the replat and the final plat for the Rochelle's. And we are going to move down to item number 4.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
since you just had the public hearing, why don't you go ahead and vote on
Well,
those
we're
two
going to vote
items?
on it. That's a great idea. Let us move now to action, item number 11, action and discussion items. And number 1, this is once again, we're going to take two plats, we're going to take vote on each one of the plats individually. Discuss and consider and take action regarding recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding the final plat Rochelle and Stevens and Pierce addition lots 1-3, block A, 7.867 acres, J. Edmondson Survey, abstract number 398, J. Harrod Survey, abstract number 588, in the town of Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas. I'll take a motion, I'll take discussion on that item in the town council.
just one question. Troy, maybe you can help me with this since Chris isn't here. Access to these lots, is this off of,
It's off of Woodland.
What's off of Woodland?
The gravel road that's existing today.
Now, does that fit our safety, our fire, and emergency?
The last lot, before they can get a building permit, they will have to construct a road that accommodates
Okay,
our standards.
all right.
So that.
I had a hard time delineating that on the, okay.
And that is noted. Just one second, if you don't mind. And that's a note on the TNP report, consideration of the access easement, improvement of sport fire apparatus prior to acceptance for our building permit. So we have that noted. And I'll open public comment on that. Sir, what's your name and where do you live?
Graham Stevens, I live across the street, 401 Woodland Drive.
Would you mind coming up to the microphone and state your name and
Graham Stevens, I live at 401 Woodland Drive. So the way the road is now was approved and grandfathered in back in the 80s. So I'm just trying to figure out what exactly has changed to where in order for Neil to build his house, it has to be changed. Is that a city requirement or?
Yeah, so before you can, when you have a lot that doesn't have current access, then it has to be brought up to our current standards. And the current standards is it has to be it can be a gravel road that can hold a fire truck as well. And so once you can have access to it in case there's any emergency during construction or anything like that, they would have full access to it.
Okay.
So if you created a caliche road or a gravel road and it's engineered and it holds that weight, then we would issue that permit.
If it's gravel now, does it have to change?
I mean, we have to look at the width and is there proper drainage? I mean, there's some things
Oh,
that
for
go wrong.
like fire lane requirements?
correct.
Okay.
Needs to get back there in
Yeah.
case the house starts.
for a fire truck or an ambulance or whatever, you know,
Okay.
it's just not a pasture back there anymore. So when you put people back there, we gotta make sure our fire department doesn't get their truck stuck going back to the house.
Okay. And do y'all have like a list of those requirements?
Yeah, it's in our ordinance. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. is.
Cool.
We do.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. State your name and come up to the microphone, please.
Michael Rochelle, 403 Woodland Drive. My property is on Woodland Drive. So the information that came out during the Planning and Zoning Committee was a recommendation by 3 of the councilmen to put the road on the actual right-of-way, because right now it is not on the right-of-way. So that's another piece of information that you didn't hear because you weren't at the last meeting. So the other consideration as to why to move the road onto the actual is the extra liability that my wife and I have on our property because of it being the entrance into the property. So those are the 2 considerations that are necessary for us to have an agreement after the plating has been approved, which we will do, and then file for a replat.
Yes, and like I said, thanks for that information. The issue is that the issuing the permit for building your building and things like that on your property that you're gonna split up, you're gonna have to get approval through us first with the road when you reach that agreement. So you're gonna work out your agreement for where you want the road at in all 3 properties, and then we'll approve it one way or the other to make sure it works. And everybody, we're satisfied, and each one of the homeowners, new landowners are satisfied too. So, yeah. So we'll let you work on that joint agreement between yourselves and then present it to us. With that, is there any other discussion by the town council on this replat for this acreage across the street? 7.8676 acres.
Who owns the drainage easement? Does that affect the road on the lot 1? Will that affect building of the road, Troy? Troy, or would you?
Yeah, I mean, that's the responsibility of that lot one, so they'll have to deal with that easement and how they, place their home on that. Obviously, they can't place it in the easement, and then the drainage would have to, they'd have to show a drainage plan that shows that's where the drainage is being directed to as it is today.
Okay, and there's a co-serve easement all along the road as well?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm not sure, is that underground? I don't think it's underground, I think it's above ground. It's underground, it is underground.
You have the big green boxes right
Okay.
across the street, yeah.
All right. Yeah, each one of those have to be applied for. The drainage ditch is easement is a ditch. Okay, with that, I'll take a closed discussion, and I'll take a recommendation for action. Oh, you got something else?
No,
Oh,
I was just gonna.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the final plat Rochelle Stevenson Paris Edition, lots 1 through 3, Block A, 7.876 acres, J. Edmondson Survey, abstract number 398, J. Hayward Survey, abstract number 588, in the town of Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas.
I second.
second, motion by Councilmember Dahl, seconded by Councilmember Newton. All in favor of approving item number 1, say aye.
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 All against, say nay. That's unanimous vote, 5-0. That's been approved. Going to item number 2, discuss, consider, and take action regarding a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding replat of Clark's Gray's Prairie Lots 2 and 3, being a replat of Lot 2 of Clark's Gray's Prairie, in addition to the town of Copper Canyon, Texas, recorded in Cabinet M, page 362 of the plat records of Denton County, Texas, in the John W. Baker Survey, abstract number 50, town of Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas. I'll open discussion on that item, on that. It's a replat. No discussion on that item? And I'll close discussion, and I'll consider a motion for accepting of approving the replat.
I'll make a motion, we approve the replat of Clark Gray's Prairie Lots 2, 4, and 3.
Motion by Councilmember Castillo, a second? Seconded by Councilmember Hubbard. All in favor, say aye.
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 All against, say nay. And that's unanimous vote, 5-0, for acceptance, approval of the replat. Next item is discuss and consider and take action regarding nominating and approving Tim Toussaint to alternate position number 3 on the Planning and Zoning Commission. We had a resignation, I'll open discussion on that. We had a resignation from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and this is a replacement. And we really appreciate people who volunteer for jobs and positions. And if you don't get on the first time, we keep your name on our list. Tim was one of those, and he accepted the position. Is Tim here tonight? He's in the back. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. And Mark Pape is your chairman for the Planning and Zoning Commission, right in front of you there. Anyways, any discussion on appointing Tim to the Planning and Zoning Commission? No discussion. I'll take a closed discussion, and I'll take a motion to appoint Mr. Toussaint to the alternate position number 3.
I move that we approve Tim Toussaint to the alternate position number 3 on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
And do I have a second? Motion made by Councilmember Newton, alternate, and seconded by Councilmember Dahl. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. And that's unanimous, once again, 5-0, for accepting and appointing Tim Toussaint to the alternate position number 3. Thank you very much, Tim, for volunteering. Going to item number 4. We gotta go public. Okay, Going back to public hearings now, we're gonna go to the next item there. Public hearing final, one of the last items here in the public hearing section is number 4. Sorry for the disjointed, agenda flow. For the proposed budget fiscal year 2025-2026 Copper Canyon Crime Prevention Control and Prevention District CCPD budget. So we'll open the public hearing at 8:15 on this subject for the budget for the CCPD. Is there any public discussion? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing for the proposed budget for the CCPD at 8:16. And now I'm going to jump back to action and discussion.
Let's just go ahead and vote then on the budget.
That's what I'm going to do. Going to go over in number 4, discuss and consider and take action regarding approving the Copper Canyon Crime and Control and Prevention District CCPD fiscal year budget 25 through 26 budget. I'll open discussion on that item for the town council.
Not a second.
I mean, just for the audience, I mean, we had a meeting at 6 o'clock that obviously everybody's welcome to, but we vetted the budget in great detail and it was very well planned out. So.
And we are staying well within our budget, and we use a lot of the sales tax dollars to fund the CCPD, and that's just a portion of and this is the important issue, a portion of our police department budgeting. We still use some general funds for budgeting and paying for our police department, which is, of course, a major portion of our budget. And it's a major portion of any town's budget. But just plan on that. But we're well within budget and controlling the items for the police department.
Well, just for clarity, so everybody knows,
Yep.
1% of your sales tax goes to fund the CCPD.
So buy a lot of stuff for Christmas. Yes. Any other discussion on the subject? I'll close discussion on that, and I will open for a consideration to take action to approve the Copper Canyon Crime and Prevention District, Crime Control and Prevention District budget for fiscal year 25-26. Take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the, where are we?
Number 4.
Approve the Copper Canyon Crime Control and Prevention District, CCPD, fiscal year 25-26 budget.
And is there a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Motion made by Councilmember Dahl, seconded by Councilmember Newton to approve the Copper Canyon Crime Prevention District budget. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. And that's approved 5-0 unanimous vote. That approves the Copper Canyon Crime Prevention, Control and Prevention District budget for fiscal year 25-26. Okay. We're going to go back and discuss item number 3 in public hearing here, and one of our council members is going to recuse himself from this discussion. And this is number 3, a public hearing is going to be opened up at 8:17. Reconsideration of the vote taken by Town Council October 27th, 2025 during the special council meeting for action and discussion item number 1. A requested exception from the Town of Copper Canyon General District Zoning Regulations, Article 4, Sections 4-104B3. The request is for an exception from the accessory building maximum square footage requirement. The ordinance requires a maximum square footage of 1,200 square feet. The resident is asking for approval of 1,490 square feet. And public hearing items, we already have 4 up here. I'm going to go through those first, and then we'll open up to anybody else who hasn't signed up. We'll start with Mr. Norman Jordan. Is this the item you wanted to speak on? Okay. Okay. We will hold off on your item, and come back to you. Let's come back with, Brent, are you a lawyer? You are. Are you their lawyer? Mr. Duffy's lawyer? I'll give Mr. Duffy the choice. Do you want him to speak first, or do you want to speak first? And then Mr. Duffy, Grant Duffy, if you'll come to the microphone.
Good evening. Grant Duffy, my wife Kim and I are here tonight regarding our accessory building project, 325 Mobile Drive. While we understand why this meeting had to be reconvened, this process has now been extended multiple times, and each extension has required us to invest additional funds and make additional changes. We appreciate the opportunity to present the facts again and work towards a final resolution. Based on the initial approval that we received from Safe Built, we proceeded with the construction. We've invested roughly $136,000 in material, project management, and labor thus far. After the town council granted us the approval last time, we made the requested changes that were approved, invested $9,000 in materials and labor to take care of those changes. We paid roughly $1,500 in fees and fines. These repeated delays, revisions have not only increased our costs, but have resulted in both us and the town of Copper Canyon being sued, which is an outcome that nobody wanted and that could have been avoided. The changes we made included removing a portion of the covered patio to lower the total square footage of the footprint. It also lowered the roof height to 19 feet 9 inches, which was inspected and approved by Safe Built on November 19th. The enclosed structure remains at 1,257 square feet. That is the garage and the indoor space. Importantly, from the Larson's backyard, our next door neighbors, 315, and from any public view, the appearance of the building does not change with or without the covered patio. Its removal does not impact any neighboring properties. The only people that would be affected by removing the covered patio would be us, the owners of 325 Mobile Drive. We followed every step of this process responsibly. We've relied on each approval we were given. We responded quickly to every request that was made of us. At this point, the only outcome we are seeking is the ability to finish this project that has already been adjusted, approved twice, and possesses no visual or practical impact to anyone around us. We respectfully ask that the council approve this exception so we can finally move forward and bring closure to this matter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rubin, would you please come up to the microphone? You don't live in Copper Canyon, I don't think?
I do not, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for having me. I represent the Duffys. I am a zoning and land use attorney who also handles litigation matters, and I came on board representing them after the lawsuit was filed. I'll be brief. It's well within the council's power to grant this exception that they've requested tonight if you deem it appropriate. I know that there were some questions raised about that, but the town's ordinance stands on solid ground, and if y'all choose to grant it, y'all are in good shape, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Well, I don't think we have any questions.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Mr. Jordan, would you like to speak first? Mr. Larson requested to be the last to speak. You want to wait? Okay. Last on the list will be Mr. Tim Larson.
Thank you. I'd like to start by pointing
Can you
out.
state your name and your address again, please?
Sure, Timothy Larson, 315 Mobile Drive. I'd like to start out by saying that the information here is again incorrect. They're not requesting 1,490 square feet. The footprint is still 1,622. The amount of roof coverage is not anything of anything. It's the footprint still, which has been unchanged. And and which was very misleading at the last meeting. Essentially, you guys are all aware of this, but for some reason, people just continue to forget this. Before I get started, is everyone okay with everyone in the room right now? You guys are okay with everyone present in the room right now?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, but
We had someone excuse themselves from the meeting. Are you okay with everyone else in the audience?
well, we don't know what you're talking about. But go ahead, just state your position.
Sure. So the builder, Landry Miller, who also has a conflict of interest that was not disclosed at any time, signed on the permit. This is your permit. This is the copy that you guys have here. And it clearly says that all provisions of laws and ordinances governing this type of work will be complied with, whether specified herein or not. The granting of a permit does not presume to give authority to violate or cancel any other federal, state, or local law regulating construction of the performance or construction. Grant Duffy himself signed on their procedure request for variance of appeal, this one, where in highlight it says, the only appeal to a decision rendered by the Board of Adjustment is to the State District Court. The appeal must be filed with the District Court within 10 days of the Board's decision. State law prohibits the Town Council from hearing an appeal. Not really sure how we get around that by calling this an exception for anything. At the end of the day, the ultimate responsibility, whether it was the builder whose architect testified under oath at the BOA meeting that they knowingly submitted a non-code compliant structure. So Town Councilman Castillo, you were right when you brought up at the last meeting that there was a submission of something that was to be a negotiation. Landry Miller, who should not have been at that meeting, misled you by saying no, but you were correct. The architect said he knew it was non-code compliant when they submitted it. The town inspector passed it. Town inspector no longer works for Town of Copper Canyon. That says a lot right there. We have not heard from the city that Safe Build was involved. Apparently, according to Mr. Duffy tonight, Safe Build was involved. So we have no knowledge that Safe Build was involved in this. So we've requested that information. We have an open hearing with Ken Paxton to see what kind of records we're able to get, but we have not been able to receive that, and you guys are unwilling to postpone anything until we get all the records. So there's that too. Whether the builder submitted the wrong thing, the town inspector and I guess Safe Built gave the wrong permit, okay, great. The law is the law. So you can't just grant something, oh, someone made a mistake. If someone deposits an amount of money into the bank and the bank actually puts it in the wrong person's account, that person doesn't keep the money, right? The wrong has to be righted. But for some reason, you guys continue to just go after this because it's messier for you to tell the Duffys to tear down what they had built, and it would have been a lot easier and cheaper for them a long time ago. But the further they go along, the more expensive it is to them. I'm sorry, but everyone keeps gaslighting us and telling us what we should be okay with by our backyard. What, have you been in our backyard? No. Have you guys been in our backyard? No. So why do you guys get to tell us what's okay in our backyard? This doesn't meet code. This doesn't meet zoning. This is a second home. Mayor, you clearly said in your email to me and your stance with me, this is your email to me in 2022. I promised people, people of this town don't want anything less than 1 acre. I promised people I would never vote for less, and I've stuck to that. You have a whole proposal here about keeping Copper Canyon rural and only 1 resident per 1 acre. This is you. I'm just mystified by this. I'm sorry. Duffys have every right to be mad, but not at us. But not at us. They can be mad at you, the town of Copper Canyon, the inspector, Safe Built, and their builder. They can take remedy with that. This is not us. We have nothing to do with this. We're sitting here watching something get built. The Duffys did not do all they could do. They could at any time say, you know what, we realize that this 1622 square foot second home, which after they move out can be rented, can be Airbnb, can be VRBO'd, because I'm sure that's coming to the town sometime soon. And we're stuck with that permanently. This is our forever home. We don't want to live next to someone who can rent this out.
Okay, we've given you got your 3 minutes. We appreciate your comments again. Can you finish up any comments or for us?
I think I've said all that needs to be said. The law is what the law is. You know, the conflict of interest definitely tainted things at the last visit. And yeah, you can have someone excuse themselves, but we all know what they said. We all know how they voted. You were misled by someone who shouldn't be here. You guys continue to put 1490 down over here. It's not 1490, it's 1622. There's no change to the square footage.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Thank you. One last sheet, Mr. Jordan, would you like to say anything at all? Any comments? Okay, then we'll have, anybody else has any comments for the public hearing?
I do want to clarify one thing. Can I clarify something?
You can,
It was certainly misleading. The architect was, Grant Duffy, 325 Mobile Drive. The architect was hired by us, was not hired by Landry Miller, so that was taken care of on the front end. So there was no conflict of interest with him working with the architect. We hired the architect, not the builder. I'm not claiming a conflict of interest with the architect.
all right, public hearing is now closed at 8:29 on the subject number 3 on the agenda under public hearing. Moving to, let me find it here. Discussion and discussion items number 5. Discussion take action regarding the reconsideration of the vote taken by the town council on October 27, 2025 for action and discussion item number 1. I'll take any discussion on the item of reconsidering the vote we took on October 27th. Hearing no discussion, close the discussion, and I'll take a motion to reconsider the vote taken for item number 1, action and discussion item from October. We'll take a vote to approve. Okay, take a vote to approve the action and discussion item number 1 from October 27th, Town Council 2025 meeting. Any motion to approve?
I'm confused, but I'd make a motion that we approve the vote taken by the town council on October 27th, 2025 for action and discussion item number 1.
And is there a second on that action?
I second it.
Taking action for approval by Councilmember Castillo, seconded by Councilmember Newton. All in favor say aye.
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 All against say nay.
Nay.
That being a tie vote of 2 ayes and 2 nays, that allows me to vote, and I vote for aye. So that's a 3-2 passage now, and so item number 1 from October 27, 2025 is approved by Town Council. Discussion on, going on now to the next item in the agenda, discussion and future agenda items. Council member may request any item be placed on a subsequent agenda for consideration. Deliberation shall be limited to proposal to place the item on a subsequent agenda item. Any council member have any? Oh, Trigg, come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, Chase. Does any council member have any items they wish on future agenda?
I do. I want to revisit the ethics committee, the ethics policy,
Ordinance.
thank you. Ordinance, and put that back on the discussion list for future discussion.
Okay.
So.
And I assume you have some documentation to follow that up?
Yes, there was previous documentation, and there was a previous policy in the past. And so there is already past history that we can revisit, and we can go from there to kind of look at. And so we're not starting from scratch.
Yeah,
Okay. We will-
Ted gave me a copy of the old ordinance, and then I'd like to add some of what was included in the classes that I took at the
Okay.
Texas Municipal League Conference. That
Well-
was really, really helpful.
Good, we'll discuss that once we get the item on the agenda, so the agenda, we'll put that on the future agenda item, and
Yes,
we look
this is
forward to your
simply just a
future knowledge and discussion on that item
Yes.
for passage.
Okay, thank you.
Any other items from any council members wish for future agenda items? I see none. I'll take a motion for adjournment of the town council meeting.
I make a motion that we adjourn this
And I'll
meeting.
take a second on that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Newton, seconded by Councilmember Hubbard. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. And that's a 5-0 vote unanimous to adjourn the meeting at 8:35.